One of the biggest misconceptions on conceptions on milestone development is army crawling. So why do I have army crawling instead of all fours? It's actually quite simple. However, you need to work on it. There are experts out there that say that there's 7 types of crawling. No, there's not. And second of all, there's only one type of crawling on all fours. That's it, right? Everything else is locomotion. It's not a crawl. So the one-legged, the bear, the army crawling, they're not crawling. And second of all, when people say that, they have not evaluated your child. So when you don't have good foundational strength, right? Everybody's about core strength. We're about foundational strength. It's foundational movements. So if you don't have a good tummy time, you don't have a good rolling over, you're not grabbing your feet, and you're not coming to sitting, and all of these kind of things. Now on top of that, you want all 4 crawling. And so let me just show you where it comes at. Right? So, excuse me, my baby doll is rubber, but at least it'll get you here. So now, tummy time, first of all, should look like this, happens right after birth. But a child doesn't necessarily have head control, and excuse me while I grab my child's head. But the nasal midline needs to cross to happen for tummy time. This establishes weight transfer and transitional movements in the simplest forms. This is what tummy time is for. If you think tummy time is to lift a head, you and I can lift our head. Babies do not. They push their pelvis in and they do this and that's a pre-crawl. You can see it right there. It's a pre-crawl, but it's tummy time. Right? So now you're missing this foundation because again, you're starting to see this and, oh, my baby hates tummy time. Of course they do because they feel like they're drowning. So you haven't gone in to establish a good tummy time. And because most people are about baby dictated responses, they go, oh, he'll figure it out. She'll be able to do it. When does the figure out happen? You're missing key movements. And this is why we have a tummy time course. But again, you haven't established that. We're about time dictated. Tummy time should happen basically right after birth, right? And they start with that, and it starts to mature, eventually to go into the airplane. And the airplane has to establish because, again, what did I just say? A good pelvic initiation, all right? So now the same thing happens when your baby is on their back and they're playing, right? The playing should look like this, where it's like a pump, right? It should not look like this. Warning signs in play. I don't want to see the arms out, and I really don't want to see the head separated. The head stays with the pubic bone, and I'm here, and I'm here, and oh, I see something, and bam, I'm rolling over. And bam, I'm coming back. That's rolling over. That's what it should look like. Rolling over should not be a crunch. It should not be a back arch and doing all of these kind of things. That's not a rolling over. And the problem is too with these descriptions, your baby could sort of fall off a pillow once. And when the doctor says, oh, does your baby roll over? Yeah, I think so, right? Because you want to brag about your baby during this stage. Under 6 months of age, it's just a complete brag fest. And it's not about bragging or finding fault with your baby. It's about getting them good foundational milestones. Right? So at 4 months, you're still here. At 6 months, you're just kind of, a leg kind of kicks over. Or what you get is you're here, the head's really heavy, the head flops back like this, and it brings the baby back over. And that's your version of rolling over. That's not rolling over. Rolling over should, again, look like this nice smooth here. I can stop, start, come back, go over, and come over, and I'm catching air. Right? This is where people start to see what they think is a reflex of STNR, where again, that their head is up and you can do those kind of movements. Okay, now we're starting to deal with the coming off the floor, feet off the floor milestones of reflexing, gravity reflexes, right? And your baby should be grabbing their feet. Now, what grabbing the feet should look like is, again, just like playing, like I said, it should be a pump. Your baby should be pumping like this. That's grabbing the feet. This is not grabbing the feet. This is not grabbing the feet, right? There are variations to it, but like fine wine, we look for quality and transitional movements and weight transfer. This is not going to give you a transitional movement. right? A baby will get stuck in this position. Where the reason they're grabbing their feet is, again, they're learning how to bring their body away from the floor and gravity. This is the easiest way to start to do it, right? And they're starting to get all this. This is necessary. It's one of the biggest overlooked milestones, grabbing the feet, a proper grabbing the feet, because again, this will eventually be coming to sitting. That happens around 4.5 months. Then your child, let me move my great little camera here. Now you have sitting up. Sitting up should be independent sitting around 5.5 months, right? But not sitting up like this. Again, midline issues that they want to come to here. Sitting up should be able to start to go over. See, they're crossing midline. They can cross midline. They can start to bring a toy to you. That's the whole presence of sitting up independent. Eventually, it'll go into side sitting. Eventually, it's going to go into all fours, but it won't without coming to sitting. Independent sitting, again, is around 5.5 months. At 6.5 months, now your baby can go look for something and come up to sitting and come down to sitting, right? That happens around 6.5 months. Now, look at that. The pelvis opens up. I can go into all fours, okay? Right? So, hold on. What's wrong with having them on? I can't read this, sorry. This is where I need my glasses. Okay, I didn't say anything about what's wrong with coming into all fours learning, but I'm telling you right now, the reason they're not in all fours and you're trying to put them into all fours, because everything I just told you didn't happen. Right? You have glitches in all of these. So I'm all about going to the next milestone, but that's where everybody's going. They want the next milestone. What I'm trying to say is you don't have good foundational movements, good foundational milestones. Now you want the next one to happen. So if your child's not coming to sitting through that, I'm going to tell you right now, to get him into all fours, is they need to transition in and out of all fours. But if you think just putting a child into all fours is going to get crawling, that's not going to happen. They have to be able to transition in and out. Standing is the best example. If you think you're going to stand your child up and they're going to walk someday, that's not how it works. They have to know that they can go in and out of standing before they can walk. Right? And that's why I call it the pre-standing, pre-walking course, to go into those kind of things. Same thing with the all fours. You want the experience of all fours, especially when your child is aging out of the milestones. You've lost that window of time-dictated milestones, but around 7.5 months of age is when they should be going from that sitting into all fours and going into that, and then back and forth, and they can go into sitting into the left and sitting into the right into all fours. That's the whole precursors of what needs to happen. So, but if that coming to sitting doesn't happen, now your child's sort of rolling over at 6 months of age, they're about here, and this is why you have army crawl, okay? And that's where the true breakdown of that milestone has happened. So to say that army crawling is a milestone, no, because you didn't have a good tummy time, you didn't have a good rolling over, but you really didn't grab the feet, and you certainly can't come up to sitting. Right? And that independent sitting was not proper. It was propped. It was balance issues, whatever is your verbiage. But that's where the problem is. Now you're here. And then also, if I push up into sitting, this is where you get the W sitting as well. And so again, in W sit, it's very difficult for me to go into all fours. It's not coming to sitting from the floor. So I'm here. I'm just not catching air. I want the locomotion. And that's where your baby is getting stuck. So please, if you're having variations of army crawling, just get your video review. I can help you tell you what's going on, but you need good foundations. You need good foundations in math. You need good foundations in reading. All of these things take time and effort, but people really don't look at the time dictated, the foundations needed for milestones, creation, and they look at it more like, oh, my baby will be figuring it out. But as you know, when you have a child that's had trauma and issues with their tone, right, we do have to take another course of action, maybe skip a couple of things, but at the same time too, we still have to work on those foundational movements. They can't be skipped. Even at my age, I have good foundational movements, right? This is what happens with people as they start to age out. They lose that. You see it right now with the astronauts. They just came back for 6 months of space. You can say everything you want about their muscles. They have no foundational movements because they didn't play with them for 6 months. Take that away from the cognitive experience of an educated adult human. You will get a special needs child no different than what half of you have here. And so, and that's where you have those conversations. Thanks.